I'm sorry for this to happen. Accidents happen even when you're careful. It can't be helped. Are you okay? Yeah, we both have fractures and will be hospitalized for about a week or two. I was really worried, you know. That's why I'm saying sorry. My sister and I ended up being hospitalized together in a two-person room after she had an accident while driving. Being unable to move, we had no choice but to quietly lie in our beds. I can sleep endlessly, so I didn't really mind the bedridden life. In fact, being allowed to sleep as much as I want, I decided to spend my time doing just that. However, when I fall asleep, my sister has no one to talk to and gets bored. By the third day of our hospital stay, she started to express her discontent towards me. Sleeping again? Once you fall asleep, you never wake up. It's so boring for me. Don't leave me alone. If you're bored, why don't you sleep too? I can't just sleep in the middle of the day. My sister was acting like a child who couldn't get their parent to play with them. Probably bored out of her mind with the hospital life. A week into our hospitalization, our injuries had stabilized, and there was a sense we would be discharged soon. Since I wouldn't be able to sleep like this once I started going back to work, I planned to enjoy my hospital stay to the fullest, ignoring my sister and falling asleep again. The next morning, I was awakened by the voices of my husband and sister, which were clearly not of ordinary conversation, but rather suggestive of something inappropriate happening. Hey, you're injured and still doing this. I can't help it. I can't resist. What if Madison wakes up? It's fine. She won't wake up for another 2 hours. Well, I definitely would wake up. Our beds are separated by a curtain, so they haven't noticed I'm awake. Discovering their relationship connected the dots for me on many things. There's a lot to think about, but first, I need to take evidence of their affair. Carefully, without them noticing, I reach for my selfie stick in my bag. I attach my phone to the selfie stick and gently lift it over the curtain to secretly take a photo of them. At this moment, a devilish thought whispers in my head. Wouldn't it be interesting to live stream this? I am Madison, working at a boutique inside a shopping center. My husband, Asher, is 2 years older than me and works in sales at a major food manufacturer. The way my husband and I got married was a bit unusual. He was my sister's ex-boyfriend. My sister Amelia lived at our parents' house until she graduated from college and found a job. She dated my husband during her university days and occasionally brought him home. Madison, sorry for intruding. Asher. Hello. Madison, could you bring some juice to my room, please? I shouldn't be bothering Madison like this. It's totally fine. Sorry, and thank you. My sister sometimes treats me like her errand runner. However, this has been the case since we were little, and I've gotten used to it, so it doesn't bother me much. But my husband often defended me from my sister's behavior. I think my sister used me as her errand runner because she was popular. She possessed both cuteness and beauty, and people outside would fuss over her, doing anything she asked. She probably brought that expectation home and made me do various things for her. My husband, during our student days, was one of those who fawned over her. He persistently pursued her and finally managed to date my sister. Therefore, at the time, he was completely smitten with my sister, indulging her in every way. However, my sister abruptly dumped him. Did you break up with Asher? Why? He started getting into eating and began to gain weight. That's it? He hasn't really gotten fat, and you didn't have a fight or anything, right? Well, I guess another better person appeared. Someone who had better grades and seemed to have a promising future, and looked a bit better than Asher approached me. It's natural to switch when a superior model appears, right? I couldn't really understand my sister's words. My sister's and my definition of natural seemed to differ. Asher was a kind and good person, so I thought it impossible for them to break up without any reason. Also, I felt sorry for Asher, who had been suddenly dumped without any particular reason after he had been devoted to my sister. Therefore, having exchanged contact information with Asher, I reached out to him, concerned. You broke up with Amelia, right? Yeah, she just messaged me out of the blue saying she wanted to break up without giving any reason. I'm sorry. Eh? Why are you apologizing? Ah, right. It's weird for me to apologize. I apologized to Asher out of a sense of guilt for how he was treated by a member of my family. Despite this, Asher and I kept in touch, and before we knew it, we grew closer and eventually started dating. Considering we were only 2 years apart and both in our prime college years, and Asher had just gone through a breakup, it seemed like a natural progression for us to start dating. Knowing Asher was a kind person, I was happy to be dating him. However, there was one problem with dating Asher, and I was quite nervous about it. Amelia! I have something to tell you. What's up? I have a boyfriend now. Really? That's great. Isn't he your first boyfriend? Congratulations. Thank you. The thing is, the person is actually Asher. Asher. My ex from 2 relationships ago. I remember I dumped him because he was no longer needed. Oh, so it's you and Asher now. Why did you seem so hesitant to say it? Eh? Well, because he's your ex, and I thought you might feel bad. If he's an ex-boyfriend, I don't mind at all. Actually, you're dating someone I discarded, so this is like recycling, right? You're doing great. I realized I might never truly understand my sister. Despite not much time passing since she broke up with Asher, she had already discarded the man she switched Asher for and started dating someone new. She seemed to have completely forgotten about Asher, treating him like an object. Although she made a somewhat troubling comment, at that moment, I lacked the courage to confront my sister. I was just relieved to know she didn't mind Asher and me dating. 2 years after my husband and I started dating, my husband and my sister graduated from college and found jobs. I graduated and found a job 2 years later as well. When we started working, both my sister and I moved out of our parents' home. My sister remained her usual self after getting a job. This time was a miss again. It was a miss before too. It's really hard to find a good person. Did you go to matchmaking party? Yes. I plan to marry a millionaire and spend the rest of my life doing nothing. Sure. My sister was constantly attending matchmaking parties, aiming for a wealthy marriage, and often shared updates with me over the phone. Although joking about marrying a millionaire, she seemed to be looking for someone with a high income and potential for the future. Given the times, such criteria were quite demanding, leading me to worry she might never marry due to her relentless search. However, 3 years after I started my job, my sister, at 27, got married. Her husband, Elijah, was an engineer and seemed like a genuinely nice guy. Congrats, sis. I'm glad you found someone great. Well, he's an engineer with an okay income, and his looks are above average. I guess that's the minimum I could settle for. She remarked. I don't think I'll ever forget those words she said at her wedding. What I meant by someone great wasn't about settling. Yet, my sister spoke as if she had compromised in choosing her spouse. I just couldn't understand her way of thinking. The following year, I too got married to my husband, Asher, who I had been dating since college. We had been together for quite some time, but both of us wanted to wait until we were settled in our jobs before marrying, which was exactly what happened. Of course, we invited my sister to the wedding. Since she hadn't shown up for the engagement announcement, it was the first time she and Asher had seen each other in 6 years since college. My sister was surprised at how much Asher had changed. Asher? Were you always this slim? What's the right word? You've become handsome? I'm working in sales now. Appearance and cleanliness are important, right? So, I went on a diet right after joining the company. Sis, you used to say Asher loved to eat, right? He's interested in food, so he joined a large food manufacturer. So, he's working for a big company? Really, I think I just got incredibly lucky. That's not true. You worked hard job hunting. My sister had broken up with Asher, thinking he was unnecessary for her, and hadn't shown any interest since, so she was evidently shocked by his transformation. She kept looking him up and down, her mouth agape in surprise. Seeing her reaction made me happy, thinking Asher had finally shown her up, and I got a bit carried away. You still have a lot to learn about people, sis. Letting go of someone as wonderful as him. Hearing my words, my sister glared at me. Her look was intimidating, and in the past, I might have apologized quickly. But, filled with joy from the wedding, her glare didn't affect me, and I smiled back warmly. For the first time, I felt like I had the upper hand over my sister, which was a satisfying yet potentially regrettable moment in hindsight. Now, with the wedding behind us, my husband and I have started our married life without any issues. Our home and my sister and her husband's home are quite close, just over an hour's drive away, allowing them to visit us often. Madison really sleeps a lot. On her days off, she can sleep for about 10 hours. But that's something that can't be helped, right? Exactly. I think it's not even a joke to poke fun at that. Right, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I know. Don't apologize so seriously. My husband and I are really close and spend such peaceful times together. We're running out of drinks. Madison, since you're not drinking, could you go buy some more? I'll go. I haven't been drinking either. Asher, come with me. Why? If anyone, shouldn't it be Elijah to go with? I know Elijah's taste in drinks, but not Asher's. Madison, do you mind if I borrow Asher for a bit? Yeah, of course. I think my sister doesn't know her way around here well, so Asher, please go with her. My sister pulled my husband's arm and went out to buy drinks. The sister from before would never have allowed my husband to go buy drinks with her. However, it seems she has calmed down since getting married, and I don't feel anxious about leaving them alone together. After all, she wouldn't make a move on her sister's husband. We're back, Madison, can you help? We bought too much. My husband and sister returned from the local convenience store about 10 minutes later. It seems safe to say that my sister has indeed changed from before. It looks like we'll be able to get along well with her from now on. Half a year after I got married, my sister started coming to visit our house even by herself. Sis, you come over a lot, but are you managing your own house all right? That's rude. I'm taking care of everything I need to. I'm even working part-time. She defended. My sister was sitting on the living room sofa, relaxing as if she was at her own house. This was a sight I often saw at our parents' house, a side of my sister she wouldn't show in front of her husband or mine. Since I'm off work today and my husband is at his job, she probably feels relaxed thinking no one else is watching. My sister quit her full-time job to switch to part-time because her husband makes a good income. Since they don't have any children yet, she seems to have a lot of free time and often visits our house. Are things going well with Asher? I think so, why do you ask? I was just a little concerned because of the teasing about the illness before. Oh, that was just me getting carried away because I had a bit to drink. Ah, I see. So, you don't have any worries or issues in your married life? It's been about half a year since you got married, right? Haven't any complaints or issues come up? Not really. If I had to say, it's just that our days off don't align, so it's hard to find time together. I see. It's good that you're getting along. When it's just the two of us, my sister tends to talk about her husband or their married life. There are things she finds difficult to discuss in front of her husband or mine, so she chooses moments when it's just us to open up. Also, the illness my sister mentioned is idiopathic hypersomnia. Despite getting enough sleep, I tend to feel extremely sleepy during the day, and once I fall asleep, it's hard to wake up. My personal record is sleeping for 13 hours straight, and I usually need about 10 hours of sleep to feel rested. The cause of this illness is unknown, though the doctor suggested it might be due to stress. Indeed, I started showing symptoms shortly after I started my job. However, as long as I manage my lifestyle and take medication, it doesn't significantly impact my life. It's surprising that my sister was concerned about my husband teasing me about my illness. She has changed. Now, she comes over by herself, but sometimes she brings her husband along for a visit as usual. We're back. Brought more drinks. Weren't you a bit late today? You usually come back in about 10 minutes, but today it took you 30. The usual drinks were sold out at the nearby convenience store. So, we had to go a bit further to another one. Madison, are you jealous? It's not like that. I was just worried because you were late. Right. At our age, we wouldn't do something so high school like getting jealous. She joked. Our relationship remains as good as ever. One peaceful day, I had a strange experience. I'm home. Asher, are you not here? No answer came from within the house, and my voice seemed to vanish. It was Sunday, and my husband was supposed to be off work. However, it's not unusual for him to go out on his days off. He often goes out alone. When I went into the living room, everything seemed normal. Yet, something felt off. While I was trying to pinpoint the odd feeling, my husband came back. Oh, you're home? What's up? You look spaced out. Huh? Oh, it's nothing. Where did you go? I couldn't quite place my concern, so I didn't bother explaining. Went to grab lunch with a friend. I sent you a message, didn't I? Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary with him. I couldn't figure out what the strange feeling was about, leaving me with unresolved confusion. If it had been just for that day, I might have brushed it off as a misunderstanding that would eventually fade. However, I occasionally felt an inexplicable unease in the house, leading to more unsettling days. Feeling weirded out, I decided to talk to my sister and her husband when they visited. Something's off, but also, nothing is off. What you're saying is what's off. I know, but still, something feels strange. A feeling of unease in the house, huh? Maybe a burglar got in, or there's a bug planted, or someone's illegally entering. What? Is that even possible? Saw it on TV the other day. The real pros make it so you don't even notice they've been in. I saw that too. An ex-burglar was showing how they sneak into a staff member's house and steal stuff without them noticing. It was kind of scary. They also talked about different scam tactics, and it made me worry. Like, what if one day I find out money's gone from my bank account? My concern seemed to have been lost in the conversation, as we ended up talking about the TV show. Well, since I'm the only one feeling this unease, I guess I'll have to figure it out myself. Then, my sister's husband started his own worry session. Amelia has a lot of free time lately and goes out a lot. But she's taking care of the house and working part-time, right? What's the complaint? It's not like there's a problem, and you agreed to her quitting her job for part-time, right? Well, yes, but... My brother-in-law's worry session was quickly shut down with just a comment each from my husband and sister. Seeing him silenced and a bit pitiful, I couldn't help but feel sorry for him. Then, I started thinking about the source of my unease. However, no matter how much I thought about it, nothing seemed out of place. I was hoping for a hint, and unexpectedly, I found one. I'm home. Is Asher out again? Once more, my voice was swallowed by the silence of the house. My husband has been going out more frequently on his days off. Before we got married, I used to visit his house on his days off. He always waited for me, greeting me with a welcome back. Asher isn't good at tidying up, so his place was always a mess. Despite my grumbling, cleaning his house was a fond memory, now that I think about it. After marriage, not waiting for your wife to return seems to be the norm. Well, perhaps that's just how married life is. I put my bag on the living room sofa. As usual, something felt off as I looked around the room. Then, it dawned on me. Wait, Asher hasn't been out since the morning, right? But the room is too tidy. With the increase in the frequency of Asher's outings, I finally understood the source of my unease. While it cleared up one mystery, now I was concerned about why he was going out more often. It seemed best to discuss this with my sister, who's a pro at relationship advice. I decided to talk to her the next time she came over alone. Talking like a high schooler again. It's not unusual for someone to go out alone, right? If you're worried, why not set a curfew like a young girl? I somewhat expected this response. My sister laughed it off, thinking I was worrying too much. Worrying over nothing will just drive you crazy, right? Why don't we go out for a drive? I found this place on social media that serves huge parfaits. My husband won't go with me, so come along. I'll drive. Perhaps I was worrying too much, as my sister said. A drive sounded like a good distraction. I agreed to her suggestion. The place she wanted to visit was 2 hours away by car. Sorry for this happening. Accidents happen even when you're careful, it can't be helped. 2 hours later, instead of at the cafe, we found ourselves in hospital beds. Are you okay? Yeah, we both have fractures and have to be hospitalized for a week or two. I was so worried. That's why I'm saying sorry. My sister swerved to avoid what she thought was a black cat lying in the road but was actually just a black bag, and we crashed into a pole. We ended up being hospitalized in the same room, getting along as sisters should. Being confined to bed, we had no choice but to lie down quietly. Since I can sleep endlessly, I didn't mind bed rest too much. In fact, being allowed to sleep as much as I want felt quite satisfying. However, my constant sleeping left my sister without someone to talk to, leading to her boredom. By the third day of our hospital stay, she started to complain. You're sleeping again? Once you fall asleep, you're out for at least 10 hours. It's so boring for me. Don't leave me alone. If you're bored, why don't you take a nap too, sis? I can't just sleep in the middle of the day. My sister was behaving like a child who couldn't get her mother to play with her. She must be really bored with the hospital life. But we'll soon be able to walk with crutches, so if she's bored, she could walk around the hospital. A week into our hospital stay, our injuries have started to stabilize, and it feels like we might be discharged soon. I'm going to work soon and won't be sleeping as much as during the hospital stay, so I decided to enjoy the hospital life to the fullest and fell asleep again, ignoring my sister. The next morning, I was woken up by the voices of my husband and sister. Their conversation wasn't casual, it was clearly the kind that people have when they're up to something inappropriate. Hey, even with injuries, you're doing this. I can't help it, I can't wait. What if Madison wakes up? It's fine. Madison won't wake up for another 2 hours at least. Well, I definitely woke up. Our beds were separated by a curtain, so they didn't realize I was awake. Discovering their relationship, various pieces of the puzzle started to connect in my mind. There's a lot to think about, but first, I need to gather evidence of their affair. Carefully, so as not to alert them, I reached for my bag and took out a selfie stick. I had packed it for the drive with my sister, thinking we'd take photos together. I never imagined it would be used like this. I attached my phone to the selfie stick and stealthily lifted it over the curtain to capture them without being noticed. A devilish thought whispered in my head. Wouldn't it be interesting to live stream this? If I exposed their act on the internet, their lives would be over. But to live stream, I'd have to bring the phone back to my hands to operate it. I risked making a noise and getting caught in the act of filming. Moreover, even if they were having an affair, is it right to expose such acts online? Their act seemed to be concluding, and while I was pondering my next move, it finished. I quietly lowered my phone without them noticing. Now, I was at a crossroads again. I had evidence of the affair, so I could confront them. But is that all I should do? Pretending to be asleep, I pondered my next move. Then, an excellent idea struck me, and I couldn't help but smirk. I quickly took out my phone and sought help from someone. The next day, my husband came to visit. You'll be discharged soon, right? Probably within a few days. As we were making small talk, the door to our room burst open. What's the meaning of this live stream? My sister's husband yelled, startling my husband, my sister, and even making me jump. He was holding his phone towards us, displaying a live stream of my sister and husband in the act. The stream had many viewers, judging by the numerous comments. What? What is this? What's going on? You said it was a live stream? We weren't doing anything, as you can see. This is an archive. The broadcast date is listed as yesterday. Yesterday? This angle, could it be? My husband and sister turned their gazes sharply towards me. As you might guess. Since you two were having so much fun, I thought I'd share it on the internet. What the hell did you do? You want the archive deleted? I might consider it if you apologize properly. But even if I delete the archive, there's a chance it's already been circulated elsewhere. We don't need to ask you to delete it. It'll probably be taken down for being inappropriate anyway, right? Sure, it might disappear eventually. Whether that's immediately, tomorrow, or in a few days, I can't say. If you're fine with your embarrassing moment being exposed until then. I'm sorry. Please, we'll apologize. Just delete the video. Desperate for the video to be deleted as soon as possible, my sister apologized on the bed. I could see her body trembling slightly. She must be panicking, unable to make a calm judgment in the current situation. The usual her would never do such a thing. Looking at my husband, he showed no signs of apologizing and seemed lost in thought. Come on, apologize already. Wait. Even if we did have an affair, posting this kind of video on the internet is a criminal act, isn't it? We're already humiliated by being exposed online. If it's come to this, I've got nothing to lose. I'll sue you and drag you down with us. Let's end our lives in misery together. My husband took a defiant stance, contrasting with my sister. However, his face clearly showed anxiety. His bravado seemingly just a facade. Ha ha ha. Wait, you're ending this now? Sorry, I couldn't hold back my laughter. There was my sister, apologizing, and my husband, bluffing so obviously. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Confused, my husband and sister looked at me, not understanding the situation. Just as you said. Broadcasting such footage without consent, especially live streaming to an unspecified large audience, could lead to up to 5 years in prison or a fine of up to $50,000. It's a pretty serious offense. You seem pretty knowledgeable. You knew all this and still broadcast our video? I didn't actually live stream. This was a video I took that Elijah helped me make look like a live stream. Pretty convincing, huh? I found a live stream frame template online and added it. Then, I used software to make comments flow on the screen, adjusting the frame and comment quality to blend seamlessly with the video. Realizing they weren't actually live streamed, my husband and sister's tension deflated, leaving them in a daze. My sister stared at the ceiling from her bed, while my husband slumped to the floor, unable to stand. When I captured their affair, simply presenting the video felt too plain. So, I thought of making them believe it was live streamed to increase their panic. Of course, I couldn't really stream it live. After researching the legal implications, I realized how severe the consequences could be. Glad I didn't act on impulse. However, any editing I did might have looked unnatural and given me away. That's why I asked Elijah for help. He would need to see the video eventually. And as an engineer, he's skilled with apps and software. He hadn't edited a video before, but found consumer-level apps easy to use, intuitively understanding them without reading instructions. Elijah enjoyed the editing process so much that he even added unsolicited streaming comments. He was so proud of his work, he burst into the room, startling even me, a fellow conspirator. All right, playtime's over. You two were having an affair, correct? Did it start when you began visiting our house? Since the evidence has already been captured, there's no escaping the truth now, so tell me everything without lying. My husband and sister, already deeply psychologically damaged by the fake live stream, seemed to have their spirits broken. Their faces showed resignation, signaling that I might finally hear the whole story of their affair. So, Asher started going out alone for the affair, right? But, when we first got married, we used to go shopping together and always came back soon. Wasn't the affair happening then? At that time, I was still in the process of seducing Asher. If we suddenly got involved, you and Elijah would get suspicious, right? So, I gradually worked on him. Why did you decide to seduce Asher? Didn't you say you discarded him because he was unnecessary? I didn't think he would turn out to be so impressive. Plus, you kept boasting about him at the wedding. It kinda got to me. Oh. I remembered bragging about my husband to my sister at our wedding. It seems my teasing had ignited something in her. Being too boastful isn't good, it seems. Asher, why did you get into such a relationship with you, considering Amelia easily threw you away before? After Amelia discarded me, I couldn't quite give up on her. I thought, if I stayed close to Amelia, maybe there'd be another chance to approach her someday. So, you started dating me to get close to her? But, we got married. So, initially, Amelia was the goal, but now you love Madison, right? No, once Amelia married Elijah, I finally gave up. I continued dating Madison just to stay close to Amelia, thinking she would do. What? So, I was just a compromise for marriage. The more I listened to their story, the angrier I got. I felt like screaming at them, but Elijah was still listening to their conversation. I decided to keep my anger in check a little longer. When you mentioned feeling odd at home, we panicked thinking the affair might get exposed. That time, we diverted the topic to TV. When Elijah said he was troubled by Amelia going out so much, we tried to quickly end the conversation by making Elijah seem like the bad guy. The odd feeling at home was because it was too tidy. Now that the affair was uncovered, the tidiness could be due to my sister cleaning up after their trysts, erasing any evidence. If so, living unknowingly at the scene of their affair would be too much to bear. And learning I've been sleeping in their bed of sin would make me sick. I decided not to confirm these details any further. While I was lost in thought, a nurse entered the room. Clearly uncomfortable with the tense atmosphere. I asked her. I'm sorry to ask, but since my sister and husband were having an affair, could I change rooms? I'm sorry, but all the beds are currently full. You're due for discharge in 2 days, so if you could bear with it, that would be great. So, I'm being discharged in 2 days? All right then. The nurse left as if escaping. I figured I would do the same in her shoes. I'll be filing for divorce once we're discharged. Get the paperwork ready. Divorce? Obviously. You too. We're getting divorced once you're out. What? Really? Of course. With our divorce decided, Elijah took Asher out of the hospital room. Now, left alone with my sister, we had to spend the remaining time until discharge together. My sister, clearly uncomfortable, turned her back to me and went to sleep. I hadn't done anything wrong, so I felt no need to feel awkward. Waking up earlier than usual today left me still feeling sleepy. I decided to turn towards my sister and go back to sleep. 2 days later, my sister and I were discharged. The time left until discharge must have been hell for her. Since I had informed the nurse about her affair, whispers about her started spreading around the hospital. Too embarrassed to leave the room, my sister confined herself, even enduring the need to use the bathroom. Her inability to make eye contact with the nurses, acting like someone with social withdrawal, was amusing in its own way. After discharge, both our marriages ended in divorce. I decided to accept alimony. When we told our parents and in-laws about the situation in the hospital, my sister and her former husband were cut off. Although our divorce meant my ex-husband and sister could now be together. They didn't end up reconciling. My sister blamed her ex-husband for the terrible situation she found herself in, despite the evidence showing she was the instigator. Eventually, they broke up, isolated by their family for the affair. After the divorce, Elijah continued his engineering work unchanged. And I also continued with my job. Even though I'm wary of marriage now, I'm only 27. Maybe I'll encounter someone good in the future. Until then, I'm focusing on my work.